Hey, what's up, real estate investors? This is Chris Steeves with Capital Realty in Ottawa, and I'm going to break down a few points and key considerations for anybody that's getting into the investment world, people that are already in the investment world, anybody thinking of buying rental properties. This is what I want you to consider as you're getting into that investment world. Few points. Number one, first and foremost, is the tenants that you're putting in the building is really going to determine whether or not this turns into a good investment or not. Obviously, there's a few other points here. Your numbers have to be good. I think a lot of people understand that your numbers have to make sense. People are aware of positive cash flow. A lot of people nowadays understand what cash flow is. You need to be bringing in more money every month than you're spending, and that's what's going to determine whether your cash flow positive or not. And then also you've got here in Canada, here in Ottawa, appreciation is a big factor because real estate in Ottawa has been going up steadily in value for many decades. And a lot of people are investors that really just they bank on appreciation and that's their focus, which is fine. I mean, it's a little bit riskier. You want to make sure that you have positive cash flow. You don't want to be losing money every month. And then what if the market dips and or you need the money right away, you need to cash out and you're in a property that's losing money? That's not a good situation. You want to have it cash flow positive so that it's sustainable over an indefinite period of time. Also, kind of thirdly to consider is location and building. You want to get into good locations, you want to get into good buildings, and that all ties back into the first point about good tenants. So, I mean, good tenants are looking for good locations. They want to live in nice buildings. Talk to your local expert about what areas are the best areas for investing and for good clientele, good tenants, and get the inside scoop on where you want to invest your money and where the smart investment is there. We could talk about that for hours, but right now I'm going to focus for a little bit on the tenants, the tenant profile, and how to make sure that you're getting good people into your building, because I think that's something that's not emphasized enough in the investment world. So, yeah, I mean, the bottom line is you get good tenants in your building, in your apartments, in your homes, you will be happy, you'll be able to sleep at night, your property will be well taken care of. If you get a bad tenant in there, the list of issues is long. You're going to be chasing them to pay rent. They're not going to pay rent on time. They rarely do. And if they really know the system, they'll stop paying rent altogether and they have fun trying to evict them. It's quite the process. Here in Ontario anyway. In Ontario, the rules are mostly in favor of the tenant and not so much in favor of the landlord. So if the tenants really understand their rights, they can make your life a living hell. And, all your positive cash flow is gone out the window when those tenants stop paying rent and stop paying the bills. So you got to get good people in there. Then it's damage to the unit. You get careless tenants that have a bad attitude, they're disrespectful, they don't care about the property. They will damage your unit. Maybe not intentionally, but over time, the wear and tear and the carelessness will cause problems, to the appliances, to your flooring, to your cabinets, ruining countertops, holes in the walls. The list kind of goes on there, and it can add up to tens of thousands of dollars in damages. I've seen it happen. It's not fun. You get one bad tenant in there for 1 year. That potential $200 a month in positive cash flow is not going to cover the $8,000 in damage that those tenants caused over the course of a year. So, I mean, yeah, you got to know those numbers, but a bad tenant can destroy your numbers really fast. And all of a sudden, that investment is no longer a great one. And you better hope to God that the value of your property went up a lot in order to cover all the damage. Bad tenants, you're going to get unhappy neighbors. You're going to be getting complaints from the bad tenants. You're going to be getting complaints from the neighbors. You might be getting calls from the police. The list goes on. So I think everybody gets the picture. Bad tenants are a world of headache for people who are often trying to get into a passive investment. Not that there's really any such thing as a completely passive investment, but you know what I mean. So how to get good tenants, how to attract good tenants, be in a good area, make sure your place looks good, make sure it shows really well, clean it all up, do a little staging in there, and ask a very high rent. If you're asking low rental amounts, you're attracting cheaper people that are just looking for a deal. They don't really care so much. They're probably not as long term. They're just, you're kind of attracting the wrong crowd. And, when you set the rents high, you're filtering out all the bottom feeders. You're going to, when you set that rent really high, only people with very good employment, with very good income, and, people who have their shit together and they have their lives organized, those are the people that can afford to pay top dollar. Plus, you're making more money by charging more rent. You're covering all the potential damage in the future by charging more rent. This is just a no-brainer. Charge more rent, get better tenants. It's a win-win for the landlord. And be patient. I've had many investors say they'd rather have their place sit empty for a year straight as opposed to put a bad tenant in there who's going to create problems. So be patient. If your place has to sit empty for a while, just wait for the right person who's going to pay a lot of money to rent your place. And in the end, you will be happier. Obviously, you can't be too greedy. You have to be reasonable. If the average market rent's $2,000, you're not going to get $5,000. But, be reasonable with it. Screen your tenants thoroughly. What's their personality like? Find out who they are. Obviously call their employers, call their previous landlords, do all the background checks on them, do a credit check on them. Ask tons of questions about, are they smokers? Do they have pets? Do they have vehicles? Are they partiers? What sort of stage of life are they at? And really dig into that to find out who they are and what that's going to look like as far as, that tenancy. A lot of people are good at this, but I've seen I've seen tenants come in and they're going to dress up nicely and look the part, and they're going to talk the talk for that first meeting. And then 1 month later, you find out who they really are, and it's a world of headaches. So this is really the backbone, in my opinion, the backbone of making sure that your real estate investment is a good one, is get the right people in there. You're going to be in a relationship with them for quite a while. Make sure that these are people that you're going to want to work with over time. And it takes a very good judge of character, and it takes a lot of homework to get there. But, be picky, be very picky about it. Talk to them ahead of time. Say, hey, you know what? As a landlord, I want to come by every 2 months and just do a visual check on the property, make sure everything's okay. If the tenant has a problem with that, that's a red flag, right? If the tenant's being dodgy in any way, that's a red flag. So really, really put a lot of emphasis on who you're letting into your buildings, and you get the right people in there, you're almost guaranteed to have a good run with that property, that real estate investment. So hopefully that helps everybody. If I can help in any way, always reach out to me. You can find me all over the internet, social media, and whatever. feel free to reach out, and I'm always happy to give you my feedback on specifically Ottawa real estate and investment real estate. Yeah, always love to help. So happy investing, everyone.